Hello students, Professor Piggy here. Today, we are talking about threat actors, and trust me, this is not just exam trivia. Imagine your house at night. You lock the doors, close the windows, maybe set an alarm. But who are you protecting against? A curious teenager, a professional burglar, or an insider who already has a key? If you do not understand who the wolf is, you cannot outsmart him. In cybersecurity, the term threat actor simply means an attacker. A threat actor is any individual or group that launches a cyber attack against an organization, system, or infrastructure. The phrase sounds dramatic, but it is simply a formal term for someone who represents a threat. The actor performs the action, and that action is the attack. Now let us begin with the biggest and baddest wolves in the forest. A nation-state attacker is a threat actor that is directly employed by or sponsored by a government. Their mission is to advance national interests using cyber capabilities. These attackers often operate as part of what CompTIA calls an advanced persistent threat. An advanced persistent threat, or APT, is an organized group of threat actors that engages in targeted and sophisticated attacks over an extended period of time. APTs have both the capability and the intent to maintain long-term access to a target. They do not smash and grab. They infiltrate, remain undetected, and exfiltrate data quietly. Most APTs are sponsored by nation-states. Governments provide funding, infrastructure, intelligence, and strategic direction. These groups often target specific companies, government agencies, or critical infrastructure. Their goal is usually espionage, long-term access, or strategic disruption. They are patient, well-funded, and highly skilled, which makes them extremely dangerous. Security researchers have attributed APT activity to groups reportedly linked to countries such as China, Iran, North Korea, and Russia. Public reports have mentioned groups like PLA Unit 61398, Lazarus Group, and Fancy Bear. Governments often deny involvement, but from a defensive perspective, what matters is capability and impact. These wolves have deep pockets and sharp teeth. Now let us move from government-sponsored wolves to organized crime. Organized crime groups are structured criminal enterprises focused primarily on financial gain. They often resemble legitimate businesses with leaders, managers, and operators. The difference is that their product is crime. These groups launch ransomware campaigns, steal credit card data, and conduct fraud. Their motivation is money, plain and simple. For example, the cybersecurity company CrowdStrike documented a criminal syndicate known as Wizard Spider. This group was associated with the Ryuk ransomware, which targeted enterprise environments and demanded large ransom payments. Unlike APTs, organized crime does not usually pursue geopolitical strategy. They pursue profit. However, do not underestimate them. When the wolf smells money, he becomes very creative. With enough funding and coordination, organized crime can be just as disruptive as a nation-state. Now let us talk about a smaller but still dangerous wolf. An unskilled attacker, often called a script kiddie, is an individual who uses existing scripts or tools to conduct attacks. They typically lack deep technical expertise. They download tools created by others and launch attacks without fully understanding how those tools work. An unskilled attacker has limited resources and limited sophistication. However, the impact can still be serious. Even a powerful exploit used without full understanding can cause significant damage. On the exam, remember that unskilled attackers generally have low funding, low expertise, and variable motivations such as curiosity, boredom, or reputation. Next, we have the Hacktivist. A hacktivist is a threat actor who launches attacks to promote a political, social, or ideological cause. Their motivation is not primarily financial gain. Instead, they seek awareness, disruption, or publicity for their beliefs. For example, an activist group known as the Yes Men has conducted disinformation campaigns to raise awareness about social and political issues. In one incident, they created a fake website resembling a major financial firm and released a false letter aligned with climate goals. The hoax was revealed, but it generated public discussion. That is classic hacktivist behavior, disruption in service of a cause. Now let us bring the story closer to home. An insider threat is any individual with legitimate access to an organization's internal systems and data. This can include employees, contractors, or partners. Because insiders already have authorized access, they can be especially dangerous. Insider threats can be malicious or non-malicious. A malicious insider may steal data, install malware, or redirect funds for personal gain or revenge. A non-malicious insider may accidentally click a malicious attachment and introduce malware into the environment. In both cases, confidentiality, integrity, and availability can be compromised. Data loss prevention, or DLP, solutions are designed to prevent sensitive data from leaving the organization. For example, DLP controls can block users from writing sensitive files to external media devices. This helps mitigate insider threats by controlling data exfiltration pathways. A competitor is another type of threat actor to understand. A competitor is an organization engaged in commercial competition with another organization. While gathering open-source intelligence is legal, competitors sometimes cross into illegal activities. This can include dumpster diving or encouraging new hires to share proprietary information from previous employers. Now that we understand who the wolves are, let us examine their attributes. The first major attribute is internal versus external. External threat actors include nation-states, organized crime, hacktivists, and most unskilled attackers. Insider threats originate from within the organization and often have privileged access. The second attribute is resources and funding. A nation-state may have extensive financial backing and dedicated teams. Organized crime groups may have structured funding models. An unskilled attacker typically operates with minimal financial support. More resources often translate into more complex and sustained attacks. The third attribute is level of sophistication and capability. Some attackers develop custom cyber weapons. Others simply download tools from public repositories. On the exam, remember that capability is closely tied to funding, training, and organizational structure. Now let us examine motivations, because understanding why the wolf attacks helps us predict how he will attack. Data exfiltration refers to the unauthorized transfer of data from a system to an external location. Many attackers are motivated by stealing sensitive information, such as intellectual property or personal data. Service disruption and general disruption or chaos are also common motivations. Attackers may attempt to take down websites or critical systems to create instability. Financial gain is another major driver, especially for organized crime. This includes fraud, ransomware, and theft of financial information. Blackmail involves obtaining sensitive or embarrassing information and threatening to release it unless demands are met. Philosophical or political beliefs drive hacktivists who seek to promote a cause. Revenge may motivate insiders who feel wronged by their employer. Espionage involves stealing sensitive information to gain a strategic advantage. This is often associated with nation-states. War, in the cyber context, refers to nation-states conducting cyber operations to disrupt or damage adversaries as part of broader conflict. Ethical hackers, also known as white hat hackers, conduct authorized testing to identify and report vulnerabilities with the goal of improving security. Now let us talk about how these attackers reach their targets. A threat vector is the path or method used to gain access to a system. Message-based vectors include phishing emails with malicious links or attachments. Many attacks begin with a simple email. That innocent message can be the wolf wearing a very convincing disguise. File-based vectors hide malicious code inside documents or spreadsheets. Image-based vectors may embed malicious code within image files or use steganography to conceal data. Voice call vectors involve social engineering over the phone, where attackers impersonate trusted individuals. Removable device vectors use infected USB drives. Software-based vectors exploit vulnerabilities in applications, especially unsupported applications that no longer receive updates. System-based vectors include open service ports, default credentials, or unsupported operating systems. Network-based vectors exploit weaknesses in wired, wireless, or Bluetooth connections. Supply chain attacks target trusted third parties such as vendors or managed service providers. By compromising a supplier, attackers gain indirect access to the primary target. This is like sneaking through the back gate instead of the front door. If you protect only your own fence, but ignore your partner's fence, the wolf will find the weak link. All of these vectors together form the attack surface. An attack surface consists of all the possible entry points available to an attacker. Reducing the attack surface is a key responsibility of security professionals. Removing unused servers, disabling unnecessary services, and eliminating default credentials are practical ways to shrink exposure. Finally, let us discuss shadow IT. Shadow IT refers to unauthorized systems, applications, or cloud services used within an organization without formal approval. These systems bypass established security controls and are often unmanaged. Because they are not monitored or patched properly, they increase organizational risk. If users install unapproved tools to save time, they may believe they are being efficient. In reality, they are expanding the attack surface and giving the wolf new opportunities. Proper governance and visibility are essential to control shadow IT. So what have we learned today, my brilliant defenders of the digital barnyard? Threat actors range from unskilled attackers to nation-state APTs. They differ in internal versus external origin, resources, and sophistication. Their motivations include data exfiltration, financial gain, disruption, blackmail, espionage, war, revenge, philosophical beliefs, and ethical testing. They exploit various threat vectors, and our mission is to reduce the attack surface. Understand the wolf, anticipate his path, and you will save your bacon every time. If this lesson helped you sharpen your security instincts, like and subscribe for more truffles of wisdom. Stay curious, stay vigilant, and I will see you in the next class. Oink.